Okay, I'm here.
Oh my god, it's Andrew Phung, everybody! Holy
For
crap. Hey, come on.
I am Josh's one of Josh's very old friends. I'm happy to be here. I was watching you throughout the day. I've been checking in on you.
So, what's new with you, man? Like, you just won another award.
Yeah, I won my third Canadian Screen Award for best supporting actor in a comedy series. Oh, an Eddie Guerrero fan. I was concerned that someone would see this shirt and be like, does Andrew Phung think he's Latino? Like, is he?
No,
I'm
way.
only um old school wrestling t-shirts. That's like my brand. So the way they see you with your hats,
Yes,
your horror action figures,
exactly.
I am vintage old school wrestling tees. Um but I'm good, man. Third award. I was very honored. The lineup was the other nominees were amazing. So three people from Schitt's Creek, and Mark Forward from Letterkenny, which I think he's so. I
I
think
know.
Letterkenny's so
Letterkenny's unbelievable, man. But nothing.
unbelievable.
It's unbelievable, but nothing's holding a torch to Kim's Convenience, dude. Like, Kim's Convenience is killing it. It is killing it.
I think we're in a golden time of like really good Canadian comedy, and I think it's because Canadian comedy is just trying to be itself. And I think Letterkenny and Kim's is an example of like two completely different shows, but people watch both of them, and there's audiences for both. And I think we're proving around the world that there's audiences for these shows that are uniquely Canadian.
Yes, 100%. And there's, well, very uniquely Canadian. It's a melting pot here, and the characters that they're actually choosing to like put on TV now is amazing because that's what Canada is, and it's cool to finally see like just Canada being out there, especially on Netflix, and you guys are just killing it on Netflix as well. So it's unbelievable, man.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, it was cool going to the US after we dropped on Netflix, because Paul, who plays Appa, we went to this In-N-Out burger. It's like
Yeah,
the first thing we did.
of course.
And I
As
remember just
Canadians
standing in
do.
line with Paul. Yeah, that's what Canadians do when we go to LA.
Yeah.
I remember standing in line and like people coming up being like, "What?" And then like people coming up being like, "Are you guys the guys from Kim's Convenience?" And then like people running over, looking at us, running back to their friends and being like, "It's them." And that kind of just blew my mind, of just like walking down the street
Yeah,
in an
totally.
American city and having people shout "Appa kimchi." And if we were ever together, it would just like blow people's minds. So I just like, that was the interesting thing. And like, we were in Boston last year and we sold out, like they filled 3 venues
Yeah.
to come see us. And I'm like, it's really humbling, and it makes you so proud to makes me so proud to be part of this show. So yeah, the Netflix effects was big on the show. Yeah.
Do you have any like juicy details for upcoming season? Like, I'm so obsessed with the show, man. We watch it as soon as it comes out, and I need to know, man.
I think if you haven't watched the show, you can see seasons 1 through 4 on CBC Gem, which is free in Canada. If you're in the US or anywhere around the world, then seasons 1 through 4 will be available on Netflix. But we just got the scripts. We just did scripts, the table reads for all the episodes. What I'll say is, for my character especially, like what you saw in season 1 with Kimchi was like, he was kind of like this total slacker.
Yeah.
And in seasons 2, 3, and 4, you see him grow into this young man who's like trying to take on life. And I love that opportunity to play someone who was just growing up and representing a young Asian person just taking on the world. So we see more of that. We might see a bit more of him in his relationships and him in his job. But I think the show as a whole has just gotten progressively funnier, more funny, because we know ourselves as performers, we know these characters, and we know how much we can get away with.
Yeah,
And I
totally.
think that is more. It's yeah, it's just an exciting time, it's an exciting time for content right now. But that's where we're at right now, and I'm really excited. I'm really excited just to go back to work, but I'm excited like to for people to see the stories we have cooking up right now.
So how is it like? Because I know you've told me this before. Like they started writing stuff from your actual life into your character and stuff. So like, how
Uh,
much of your real life has been like influenced into your character now?
I think they would like the writers, really good writers just observe what people are doing. Like really good writers observe what's happening in the world and they take those things and they're like, how do we put it into the show? And they've put little things in, like they put my sneaker collection in
Yeah,
there and
totally.
like and I got to build the character up. I think there are differences with my character. Like I think the way Kimchi approaches things is a little bit more loose and free spirited
Yeah,
than
totally.
what Andrew Phung would. Because I'm pretty like structured individual, but I think they have taken my interest. They've asked me for my interests, but more so the evolution of the character. I really wanted Kimchi to grow. I didn't want him to be the best friend. I didn't want him to be the sidekick.
Yes.
I wanted him to be another person you could see in the show and be like, that is another character we relate to. You can have a Jung and you could have a Kimchi. And I really wanted to emphasize that because like Jung doesn't represent all Asian men or all young Asian
No.
men. Kimchi doesn't represent. We represent a spectrum of individuals. Um, and so I think that it's a really cool friendship we put up, and it's been cool to showcase those characters. Um, but yeah, they take on little things, and I add little things. Like I've been advocating for a lot of wrestling references that haven't made it in, but I hope they will at some point. I've been pitching for a long time of trying to get Bret Hart or Lance Storm to play our
Yes.
landlord,
Dude, that would be so
um,
good.
because
Well, the
I make a
Calgary
reference in
tie-in
season
too,
one,
right?
the Calgary Tide, but I make a reference in season one of like our toilet's broken, and John's like, "Why don't you talk to the landlord?" I'm like, "Oh, he's so weird, and he always wants to wrestle." And I just think it would be so funny
Right.
if it was Bret Hart,
Oh my
and he
god.
always wants to wrestle me
Dude,
for.
that would be amazing.
And Lance Storm is a very big fan of Kim's Convenience. He was one of the first people to like take on Kim's, and he just was like, "What is this show? I
Yeah.
love it." Um, and it's been cool like meeting with wrestler. That's a big thing. I did an improv show last summer for SummerSlam
Yeah.
in Toronto, and it was with wrestler Sami Zayn. And I get to the theater and Sammy walks in and he's like, Kimchi. And he like comes up, gives me a hug, and he's like, I love the show so
That's
much.
awesome.
And it's been a really cool friendship of just like there's people watching our show, but also people I love, like Sami Zayn, Lance Storm, watching the show. Um, so we Sammy was wrestling in Toronto in December, and we got to go backstage. Paul and I, who plays Appa, we got to go backstage and just like I just was like, I'm backstage at a WWE wrestling show. I am living my dream. Over there is Sasha Banks working through the match. Oh, what is this? And that's been pretty cool. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I have this
Yeah.
shirt that's the Ultimate Warrior, and literally every time I wear it, I get at least 4 or 5 people that go out of their
Oh,
way to be like, "Wow, that is the best shirt I've
yeah.
ever seen." Like wrestling, well, wrestling is part of our family. Like the Honky Tonk Man is Kissy's uncle, right?
That's
So
right.
yeah, so
Yeah.
like wrestling, I grew up loving wrestling, so I understand. So I always see this with you. Like, is there any other franchises that you would like other than Kim's, obviously, because you've made it there? But is there any other franchises out there that you're just like, I need to find a way to be a part of that, like a Ghostbusters or something like that? Because I know your love for Ghostbusters is huge.
Oh, where is it? Oh, where did it go? Oh, I think my son made it to me.
I see your.
I have like Ghostbuster stuff laying around. Um, I this is, and it's not because it ties into what I'm doing next, but I really wanted to be a part of Winona Earp, and
Oh,
that's
nice.
a science fiction western that is shot in Alberta, and I really wanted to be in it. I was it was almost going to happen in season 2, but I was unavailable for the shoot dates, and it killed me. Like I really wanted to do it. And then really cool thing is their upcoming season 4. I was able to be a part of it, And so prior to COVID lock shutdown,
Yeah.
I was able to shoot some of my scenes, and we're currently going back to production, and I'll go back to Alberta to shoot some more of my scenes. So that was a show I really wanted to be a part of because I felt like it was so badass and cool, and it just like the fandom is so big, and you love these characters because they're so unique and different. So I think it's easy to pick like a Ghostbusters and be like, I feel like there's very few people in the world who would not want to be in the Ghostbusters.
Yes.
But for like me, like with fandom and science fiction, Winona Earp just like fit. It just was like, oh, I really want to be a part of that show. That show looks super cool, super fun to be a part of, and I love these stories. So that's the next one. But then you showed Harpoon,
Yes.
the DVD, and I have wanted to be in a horror movie for a very long time.
Really?
And I don't want to give anything away, and nothing's been confirmed, but I do want to say there is a project on the docket very related to Harpoon, maybe the same team that we have been discussing an opportunity to be part of. So I am very excited. Just because like I think that like whenever like anyone who's known my career has known I'm into comedy.
Yes, for sure.
And I'm the funny guy. But anytime I could do things out of the norm and out of the realm, I'm so excited to do. Like I did a movie in November where it's like a serious take on like a Shakespeare play,
Okay.
but in like a science fiction form. And I did a take, and the actor was just like, damn, you could act. And I'm like, it's in here. Like I'm excited, and I think that because I'm so known as the comedy guy, when I turn like that, I think it does shake people a little bit.
But I love that. That's a cool opportunity. Like Jay Baruchel just did a horror movie that was at the Calgary Underground Film Festival this year as well. So I always love seeing the flip, like Kevin Smith doing a horror movie instead of a comedy. I'm just like, what? I can't wait, man. Like, is there anything more you can tell me other than you're going to be in a horror movie? No.
That's it right now, because it's so, and that's someone asked, a lot of people ask me and message me, ask me about like tips on acting.
Yeah.
And the truth is, like, there are so many good actors, amazing actors in the world. Like there in Canada and the world, there's an endless pool of wonderful performers, but so much of acting is literally the hustle. So like I have a degree in business, and so much of my job is like meeting people and like emailing and like reading scripts and like attaching yourself to a project and just connecting with people so that when they write their project, they think, oh, that's someone that could be in this movie or this show.
100%.
So that's so much of acting. It's just like networking and building relationships and just like being in that creative world. So like I've had so many projects fall through, and I've had so many projects happen or are happening. And that's like literally 75% of the game, because yes, once you get the script and you act, you're ready to go. But there's this whole other side that you're constantly chasing projects. And the truth is, there's a lot of people in the world who like want to make films and make TV. Less and less follow through because it's so difficult. It's such like a long thing. So like I've read scripts this year, I'm like, I love it. Let's attach myself, and then they don't follow through with the project.
Really?
And it's like,
so
yeah,
how
that happens.
How are you getting these scripts, and like how does that work for you? Well, obviously it's probably like agent type stuff, but like what I actually wanted to ask you was like, how did you get your start in this, man? Because like when was it that you knew you wanted to do this? Because it is a hustle and a half, especially from Calgary. It's not the easiest road to take in entertainment.
Well, in like 2011, I've been doing improv since like 1999, 2000 as like a teenager. But in 2010, 2011, I was like kind of picking up some like side acting gigs and like improv gigs
and doing this.
And doing and you and I met from making short films.
Yeah, totally.
So just making stuff, and then I was like, okay, I want to do it. And so I quit my job, and I went into acting full time. And I had held on to like my job part time, but I went into this full time.
Yeah.
And it's just like you build your career, and a lot of it is like networking with people, going to events, and like big thing for me was like hosting. And so I'd go to events and be like, hey, do you need someone to host your event? You know, like I became
The
the
MC.
MC in
Yeah.
Calgary. If you couldn't afford Dave Kelly, you could afford Andrew Phung, which was my motto, which is still pretty true.
Oh.
Dave Kelly, if you don't know, Dave Kelly is a very talented MC in Calgary. He's a former television host.
I saw
He's
you on
still
his
literally
show.
one of the biggest stars in the city.
I love him.
But yeah, you just chase projects and you try to create work and you try to build relationships. So it was a lot of like hosting things, doing a lot of improv, so that if you were looking to cast a comedy, you would try to cast me. And then I was touring an improv show at the Fringe, and Ins Choi, the creator of Kim's Convenience, came to my improv show and was like, hey, I got a show called Kim's Convenience. And that was it. Then we stayed in touch, and then once the show went into development, they asked me to audition for it, and I got to audition for it on a tape. They flew me out to Vancouver, and then they flew me out to Toronto to audition again, and that's how I got the role. So, you know, for me, it's like you never know when you're going to break, but when you do break, you better be ready and you better be your best to do it
and run.
And and you got to be ready to go. And I tell people, I'm like, literally before like the before I booked Kim's, I did an improv show for like 9 people. You know, it was like I think the Flames had made the playoffs, and we were like, we did an improv show that night. I'm like, this is a terrible idea. 9 people showed up.
So what?
It was great, but I did that show the way I would do a show for 200 people. And so you have to be your best all the time.
Yeah.
And so acting is such a grind as a performer, but also as a business person.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and so then when people now, it's like I am in the eye so much that when writers write a project, they're like, you know who'd be good? Andrew Phung. And I'd like, let's try to reach out to them on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, email. And that's how it's done. And they can reach through my agent, or they reach out to me, and then we set that all up. And you're constantly working at it, always. You know,
was there something you wish you knew back then that you know now that would have made your life just a little bit easier? Like maybe some advice to give people coming up?
I don't know. I think the experiences I went through made me a better performer and a stronger artist, and it made me aware of what I wanted to do. Like there's probably projects I've been like, you shouldn't do that project, but also that project made me realize I shouldn't do that project. Like,
fair enough.
At some point, I'd have to do that project that made me wish I didn't do it.
Yeah, for sure.
But if I did give this advice, it would be, don't judge a project on the celebrity they're able to get. Judge a project on how good it is.
That's good.
Is what I would say.
I like that.
Because I think there's projects they say, we're going to get so-and-so. We're going to get so-and-so. And I'm like, okay, but is it any good? Because at the end of the day, I'd rather be a part of something that was really good, that had no stars, than a project that had all the stars and was not great.
Fair enough.
And I will say, prior to Kim's Convenience, the entire main cast of Kim's Convenience, did anyone know who we were? Like Paul and Jean Apanama had a very long career, but they were always day players or smaller roles.
And now,
right?
Yeah.
But now you show a picture of the cast of Kim's Convenience, you know who they are, and one of them is a Marvel superhero. Yeah. So it's like, but you have to judge your projects based on.
How has that changed everything? Sorry, has that changed? Like,
oh no,
is it just changing anything over like for the Kim's Convenience crew and all that? Like, having one of the stars become a Marvel character, that's kind of big deal.
I think at the end of the day, we've all been through this together, and we're so happy for him, and it's something he's wanted for so long, and we've come up together. But at the end of the day, I know when he and I get back on the set of Kim's Convenience, we're gonna drop a dope ass Jung-Chi scene because we have that bro relationship, that bromance. And I love it because there's an unspoken, like,
you can see it's real.
There's like
so
a love
real.
there.
100%.
And there's like an unspoken intimacy in the friendship, which I love, because you don't often see male friendships portrayed that way. And I'm like, from the beginning, him and I were like, we're gonna show this friendship as like something so different. It's the same. I was texting with him the other day, and like, you know, like we were texting about like we had a Zoom meeting. He's like, I gotta go to the Marvel studio. And I was like, cool. Like,
Bye.
It's just like, you know, or like he's, you know, he'll tell us kind of what he's up to. We're all really excited for him.
100%.
But it's I don't know, it's gonna be weird. We even said it's gonna be weird. Like, up on the screen, like, my son will see a superhero, but also he'll see someone that came over to our house to go swimming.
Yeah.
You know, like, or someone who came, like, Simu visited us in Calgary and borrowed our car to go up to Banff. You know, like, that's who he'll be, and I think that's really cool. But also, like, it is a push for, like, it go back to my advice of, like, cast your projects on the best people, and or choose projects. And I think that often it's like we talk about our projects of like, oh, so and so made this movie, and I'm like, more so say what the project is. So like, I look at projects now, like when I look at projects, I'm like, how
it's
good
the
is
team
it? Is the script
too.
good?
Like, if there's a team behind it, like the team from Black Fawn, they're killing it with everything they produce. I'm just lucky that I got the chance to meet them at the Calgary Underground Film Festival. Like, I got to meet you. Like, Calgary Underground Film Festival, we just did a giveaway. They came on board as a sponsor for this. Like, I'm so stoked with everything in Canada and filmmaking, and I get to meet people like you because of it. And like, man, like,
well, Cuff like launched the careers for a lot of people, but like those 48-hour film challenges, like, that's how we connected. But then also, like, that also taught, like, let's look at you. 48-hour Film Festival taught you how to use a camera.
Yep.
And it taught you the love of, like, horror films, which launched your YouTube channel, which launched your interest in games and Twitch, and like that launched your career. For me, it was like no one was casting me in things, so I got to make my own shorts with my friends.
And they were hilarious.
And so I'm still like Scott Townend. Him and I are working on a project right now, but like our friendship was based on the Cuff 48-hour Film Festival. That's where we met.
Yeah.
Now he's my best friend, and we're working on a project together. Like, you know, that's unreal, and how important Cuff is to a city like Calgary. So support your local arts institutions, because they're going to need it now more than ever.
Yeah, and the Globe, especially in Calgary, go there. They're open now, so like I'm
open?
Yeah, I think they're open now. So I'm gonna figure out a mask situation and go and see a late night movie, because that is my favorite place to hang out, and the best popcorn in the city.
What's Calgary like right now?
I don't know. This is my basement that you've been in. We renovated the crap out of it, so it doesn't look the same. But this is where I live, man. I'm here. We don't leave the house very often, so.
You don't leave the house often?
Yeah, I go and get groceries and stuff, and that's about it, man. Like, we're COVID pretty good.
Yeah, it's different when you got kids.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
how have you guys been? How's the transition been from Calgary to Toronto and stuff with the family and everything?
Pretty easy. Like, Toronto's really fun because there's always something to do. And I had been in Toronto so much over the last 4 years that the transition was pretty easy. And you know, when you move as a family, you build your world around it. So it's been really fun, and we've made a lot of friends, and Tam's made a lot of friends, and
nice.
I really enjoy it. But like, you know, we still love Calgary. I'm going to Calgary next week to start filming Winona Earp again.
Nice.
And so we love to go back, and I love that throughout my career, Calgary, I got to rep Calgary. Like, I got to rep Calgary in a way that I feel like other actors weren't able to rep Calgary.
100%.
Yeah, Best of Calgary just voted Best Actor and Comedian again. Though, as someone has pointed out, he doesn't even live here. So,
geez.
Thank you to everyone who voted.
Except for that guy in the comments section. No,
it was the joke. It was. I took it as a smile, but I think more so it's an indicator of how much the city still connects me to that city. But what I did do is I named the two people in first runner-up and second runner-up. They're the best of Calgary. Like, they are doing the work artistically in that city, and so props to them. And that's why I say support your local arts institutions, because I wouldn't be who I am without them. And the city, this Calgary, is hurting right now as a city, and like it's reevaluating itself and rediscovering itself. But at the core, we're going to really need to support those arts institutions, because they will make the city worth living. Because let's admit, if we didn't have Cuff, Josh, you and I might be doing something very different right now,
100%.
you know?
100%.
Yeah.
Brenda
Yeah.
and everyone there, literally like the best programming you'll ever see, like the craziest stuff. And the fact that I get them just sent to me now, I'm so appreciative of all the connections that I have with Calgary Underground Film Festival. I love them so much. It's yeah. So
and speaking of Brenda, she's
yeah.
the executive producer on a movie that I just wrapped.
What?
Yeah, I did a movie in August in Calgary. I shot a movie called The Events Transpiring Before, During, and After a High School Basketball Game. It is a very weird indie comedy.
Nice.
And it's hilarious. Like, I love the script because it was so awkward, because it's about teenagers. And I love that, because if you remember being a teenager, it is awkward.
Yeah.
You know? And I love that this story was like about awkward teenagers around a basketball game telling just a day in the life. And I love that, like you mentioned Kevin Smith, and like I love Clerks and Mallrats because it was like a day in the life of this world.
Yep.
And so this is like a day in the life of this basketball game, the stuff around it. And I got to play the coach.
Yes.
And it's so funny because I watched the screener recently, and in the movie, I make so many Phil Jackson Chicago Bulls references, but it's so relevant right now because of The Last Dance. So I'm watching the movie back and I'm like, this is so relevant.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so Brenda is the executive producer on that one. So that's a movie that is hopefully going to festivals and doing its thing. But that was an example of like, that movie had no stars attached to it, but the filmmakers were super cool. I saw their vision, and the script was so funny that's all that mattered to me. And that's like, you know, I wanted to make that movie, you know. So
I got one last question for you, man. What's the magic number? How many pairs of Jordans do you have behind you now? Like what is this? What are we at
there's
now?
a wall here and there's a wall here. There's two walls.
Oh my god.
And so in Toronto, it'll probably be like 250 shoes. And then in Calgary, there's still like 150.
Oh my god.
So
you stepped it up.
Yeah, I'm trying to clear out the Calgary collection. When I'm in Calgary next, I'm trying to clear it out a little bit. But Pain Inc. As a fellow sneakerhead, I want to know what your favorite pair of shoes is.
Yes,
that's tough because I love all my shoes. But I love this one. Like, I always go towards this one. It's Jordan 11, Red 11. I have like 4 or 5 pairs of these, but from different years they were released. I always go to this. So like, you'll see this a lot when I do like improv shows, just because like I think like such a great shoe. But I love all my shoes. Like, they all have a different story, you know. Like, there's a shoe over here I booked Kim's Convenience in. Like, I wore that pair when I did my final audition with Appa. That's like a special shoe.
Yeah.
But yeah, like every shoe kind of like relates. And what I find is I'm trying to like thin out the collection of only shoes I'll wear.
Okay.
But my new thing is wrestling belts.
That's what I was gonna ask. What's your favorite belt? Mine was always the Intercontinental Championship, and that's
that's my favorite.
Yes, dude. Anyone that had that was always my favorite wrestler. I was like, I don't care who you are. If you got the Intercontinental, you're killing it.
It's because the Intercontinental was like the people's champion.
Yes,
like
The Rock,
Mr. Perfect, Bret Hart, The Rock, Shawn Michaels, Ultimate Warrior, Texas Tornado, Honky Tonk Man held it for 400 days.
What? I didn't even know that.
Intercontinental and Winged Eagle, like because like those are belts I grew up with. I also love old WCW belts.
Yeah.
But that's gonna. I have a really addictive personality, so like once I get into something, because I'm always looking for things that aren't acting. Like when improv was the hobby, that was the getaway from your job.
Yeah.
But then once improv and comedy became the job, I needed a new thing that wasn't comedy that I could just do that was like therapeutic. So like right now it's like sneakers, wrestling belts, and then like I've been doing a lot of like Ghostbusters. DIY prop building, which has been really fun. But Yeah, man. I miss you and Kissy, and I miss Elliot. Like it's we were because we had kids at the same time. For those who don't know,
Very same
we had
time.
kids literally within a couple weeks from each other,
In the same
and
hospital.
so we've been bonded that way.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what I miss about Calgary, like those relationships. But it's been cool out in Toronto building relationships with kids, and you see them grow up and you see them playing. You know, so
100%. Dude, we miss you
yeah.
so much over here in Calgary, man. Get back here and let's get a
Well,
visit
I'm there
going.
next week. We got well, let's try to hang. I'm there next week, and dude, I you know, the money you're raising for Alberta Cancer Foundation, I've worked with them before. They reached out recently to me and they're like, we saw you're doing this, thank you so much. As a former director of a nonprofit in Calgary, it's so important, and anytime people can give back in their own way, it's so awesome. So for you to take your platform and what you love doing and saying, I want to do some good with it, I kudos. I applaud your work on this one, man.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. And thank you for coming out, man. It means the world that you came and did, like, seriously.
And I'm gonna keep tuning in because I love watching you do this because it's not my world. But I've been playing more games with the boys. But we started with like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, sure. And I need to prepare for when this is going to be a thing. Also, I'm trying to get a head start because I secretly can't live in a world where my children who are 5 or 6 and 3 are going to start beating me at games. So I need to get good at this console now.
You know that Ellie already beats me at everything we play. We're playing Fortnite. She's my carry, man. Like the chat is like, well, it's a good thing she's there. Like I'm just getting the gears, man.
We were playing Super Nintendo. We were playing Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters.
Nice.
And Nico legit smoked me. And I was like, oh. Like he legit smoked me. And I was like, oh no.
It begins,
Super Nintendo, he's smoking me.
Dude, it begins now. We're only going to be in the shadows of our children from here on out. It just happens.
Well, they are our dreams and they are our future. So good for them. They're gonna beat us now. Good for them.
100%.
Yeah.
Dude.
But I missed you, man. Say hi to Kissy, and Elliot and the fam for me, man. And congrats. I think you got another kid. Is that right?
Yeah, Dottie.
You got a second kid?
Yes.
God, we got Josh. We got 4 kids. We got 2 kids each. Jeff De Silva, our friend, has 3 kids.
Yeah, I know, man.
It feels like he's got like 8 kids though. Like I feel like his Instagram, like I feel like I watch it. I'm like, do you have 8 kids?
That's what I see too. I'm like, what's going on over there, man?
Feels like there's old kids,
but they're cute as hell.
But I miss you, man, and keep up the good work and have fun on the stream, man. And kudos to you, brother.
Thank you so much, Andrew. All right, we'll talk to you soon,
man. See you soon.
See you, bye, buddy. All right, guys, that was Andrew Phung. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out. I had the chat hidden because I didn't want to be distracted. I'm sorry. I'm back now, guys. The chat is here. Holy, that was amazing. That was so much fun. Woo! Andrew, guys, check out Kim's Convenience if you haven't already. It is seriously from CBC. Like, it is the best show 100% on CBC. And it, like, you know, it's not even a biased opinion. It is seriously the best show on CBC. And Netflix has it. Check it out, guys. We are 20 minutes away now from the next giveaway. We did the cuff package. We are doing the harpoon giveaway next. Exclamation mark. Enter in the chat to get entered into that. I need some water. And I'm so happy that went.